welcome to PopVultures. My name is Jen Lee, and for the last time ever, I'm joined by Yeo Sam Jo! Nice.
In one of our previous episodes, we talked about the whole #Free Britney movement. So many people, including myself, look up to her, right, as a role model for many things. She's a very strong woman, right, and also like the way she dances. She's been very unlucky when it comes to love.
Justin Timberlake, let me not go there, but hey.
We will go there because we are PopVultures.
I want to know, Sam Jo, what is your deal with T Swift?
Who is T Swift? I don't know.
Oh my god!
Yeah, what is your problem with JJ Lin? Your turn.
I just think that when he performs...
Jen very scared she'll get cancelled.
Yeah!
This is the podcast by the Straits Times.
Hello and welcome to PopVultures, a pop culture podcast by the Straits Times. My name is Jen Lee, and for the last time ever, I'm joined by Yeo Sam Jo! Christ.
Say until like that, so sad.
Yeah,
last time
Christ.
ever.
Yes, this is Sam Jo's last episode with us because he is leaving ST for greener pastures, and we wish him all the best.
Thank you. I'm gonna miss this, you know that.
I know.
And we're at episode, 50?
Yes.
It's our golden episode.
Yeah, it's a nice round number to end on, If you were married for 50 years, that would be like a pretty great marriage, I think.
It feels like we've been married for 50 years. Really. I mean, I will really miss sitting across from you and being stuck in like a confined space with you.
Yeah, I know, right? And just like complaining about sound quality and then having to sneeze halfway through a sentence.
Yeah, we're finally back in the studio actually with, obviously we are safe from COVID and everything, taking all the precautions. But we have new mics here and...
It's super good.
You sound very good. You sound very sexy,
I
Jen.
want to do some like ASMR right now.
Let's do it. So are we going to sip some tea today?
Yeah, we're going to sip some tea.
Let's sip tea together. That sounded very dry on my part because I was drinking a lot just now. So, okay, let me try again.
Yes. Yeah, you don't have a lot of water
I don't have a lot left. I don't have a lot left.
Okay.
I need to top up.
Yeah. Anyway, so today would be kind of a special episode because it's our Sam Jo farewell episode, and it's a farewell to this current iteration of PopVultures as we know it. And we'll look back at some of like our favorite moments and like how it all began, and we'll like hash out some things that really need to be hashed out before Sam Jo leaves.
Should I be worried?
Not really, but maybe. I don't know.
Okay, I have some questions for you too, Jen. I also have a surprise for all of you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But of course, before we get started on all of that, we have to address this big thing that broke today as we're recording. And, why else would we be the PopVultures if we don't talk about pop culture? And in this case, it's somebody we've covered before. Sam Jo, hit it.
Hey, Britney.
Yeah.
Britney, this is actually very sad.
In some ways, it's empowering, but it's also very sad.
It's empowering, but it's very sad. So in one of our previous episodes, we talked about the whole #Free Britney movement and how she, was allegedly in some tussle with her dad and her family over her conservatorship.
Conservatorship just means that she has no access to like her own money. She can't make like her own decisions. She's technically like deemed unable to make decisions for herself. So like other people have to make it for her. Yeah.
Right. And she's been, I think, in this conservatorship for more than 10 years now. Mm-hmm. So this just in, at the time of recording, Britney, actually spoke to a judge.
For the first time, I think.
For the first time, speculations aside, this is us hearing from Britney herself.
About this conservatorship.
And how she feels about it and some of the details which are very saddening to me. Mm-hmm. So you can go online right now and you can search Britney Spears conservatorship, some of the transcripts that are online.
I think Variety has the full transcript online. I think she spoke for about 25 minutes.
Yeah, and there's also a leaked audio somewhere on YouTube if it hasn't been taken down by now. Mm-hmm. But in it, you can hear a very exasperated Britney essentially pleading with the judge to end her conservatorship.
Without further evaluation.
Because apparently for it to end, she has to go through some sort of, I guess, psychiatric evaluation of sorts.
Yeah, it
right?
wasn't made super clear in the statement. And, she just said time and time again that she really feels like she has no control over her life. She gets dragged to therapy sessions that she doesn't want, with therapists that she doesn't want to engage with. She has to take medication that she doesn't want to take.
That makes her feel drunk and like she's in a haze and fog the entire time.
Yeah.
Apparently one of them put her on lithium, which is a super strong drug.
Yeah, and I think the most upsetting part of the statement that has been singled out is that she wants to have a new baby. She has 2 kids with previous ex-husband Kevin Federline, who also was not a great dude, but
she's been very unlucky when it comes to love.
Very. I mean, Justin Timberlake, let me not go there, but okay.
We will go there.
Okay.
We will go there because we are PopVultures.
Okay. So anyway, she wants to have a new baby with her current boyfriend, and that cannot happen because she, according to the rules, don't know what rules under the conservatorship, she has to put an IUD inside herself. IUD is a birth, it's like a contraception
intrauterine device, right?
Yeah, it basically stops you from getting pregnant. So she says she has to keep the IUD inside her, even though she doesn't want to, and she wants to have a new baby, she wants to be married, and she can't make those decisions for herself, for her own body. So that's very, very sad.
She doesn't even have control over her own body and whether or not, to procreate, which is...
Yeah.
It's really, really saddening. And of course, all this on top of the fact that, when she wanted a break from work, her Las Vegas residency, right, she was, according to her, forced to continue and basically keep going to rehearsals and keep having to go to therapy a few times a week, and especially going to therapy in a place
that's very
where
public,
it's exposed to paparazzi. And, so that's why she actually spoke out about how she was very upset that the paparazzi will capture her crying when she leaves therapy, and she doesn't really trust these people that she's talking to in therapy as well. But suffice to say, she has very little control, as expected, over many aspects of her life. In fact, most aspects of her life. But with the details that she's sharing here, I feel like it's worse than all of us imagined and feared, right?
Yeah. And of course, she's basically the people in charge of conservatorship, like her father, are living off her money, so that's bad.
Yeah, and actually speaking of her father, this is the first time, because, on Instagram, she's been posting very happy videos. She's been saying that, I'm fine, thanks for your concern. She's been posting all these dancing videos, which are a little bit worrying, very creepy looking selfies. And then she finally said in this statement also that, she's been in denial. She's actually not happy.
She's very depressed.
She feels depressed. She's trapped. She feels alone. She feels like people are ganging up against her.
She's exploited. She can't even go find her A meeting friends. So she's an Alcoholic Anonymous, which is like a support group for alcoholics, right?
Yep.
And she can't even go find the friends that she made during that support group.
Yeah, even though the friend lives a few minutes away from her.
Yeah.
And the way she speaks about her father and her family, wow, she busted out the expletives.
Yeah.
And she says she really wants to sue her family.
Yeah.
And she says that, her father's enjoying every minute of this.
And they keep talking to the media without her permission, and it's just very sad.
And telling basically according to her again, a twisted side of the story that's not true. So this is the first time that we're hearing from her, and I think we're all used to that Britney, that pop icon.
Yeah,
that legend, who's just so fearless on stage. And, so many people, including myself, look up to her, right, as a role model for many things. She's a very strong woman, right? She's been through so much. And so to see her kind of really be so vulnerable, it
was very hard to watch.
Yeah. And I really hope this all turns out well for her because, already... the vultures are swirling around. And we don't mean PopVultures. We mean
actual,
like what, JT?
Yeah, Justin Timberlake had to come out again and make everything about himself like that man does with everything in his life.
He tweeted something, right? What did he say?
No, he basically tweeted something like, it's so sad. We need to support Britney. She needs to be free to live her life. Which is great statement and everything, a great sentiment. But Justin Timberlake, are you the man to be saying that? You were the one who, slut-shamed her. You were the one who, made some very, very, I would say, exploitative statements about her when you guys broke up. Sure, maybe people change, but I just feel like in this instance, Justin, maybe just don't speak up.
You're the one who used her image without her permission in your music video, so you can score, what was possibly a VMA award.
You were part of the reason why she had mental health issues. So like maybe just step away.
Like no one would say anything. Again, this is a line we say very often on this show.
Yeah.
No one would say anything if you don't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. Then the worst is Perez Hilton,
Yeah.
who is that gossip blogger who really, truly, like straight up cyberbullied Britney in a lot of instances.
Yep.
Yeah, back in the day, he made very, very, very mean posts about her. He did things like when Heath Ledger died, he apparently sold a T-shirt with Heath Ledger's image, and then the words was, "Why wasn't it Britney?" Like.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's very bad. But he is clout chasing all the way. He's going like, "You go girl" for Britney when she come up with this statement, and you're just like, Perez Hilton, please go away. Like, you were part of the reason why she had a mental breakdown.
Right. So. And stop trying to ride on like, her success and fame, and in this case her tragedy for your own fame. Like, exactly. and I think that actually that's the whole problem with what's going on with Britney. Like, she feels very taken advantage of. Not just by strangers and a paparazzi and everything, but her own family. And I think that's the saddest part. So we wish her all the best. And Britney, you're probably not listening to this, but
you are in our hearts.
Yeah, and I know that the world loves you, and we'll be watching this very closely, and I'm pretty sure more celebrities will step forward to say stuff. Hopefully, she does that interview with Oprah.
Yeah,
right, because that's what everyone's anticipating, and maybe that will be the next PopVultures episode.
Maybe, we don't know. If it happens, it happens. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, what's happening, Jen?
I don't know yet. I don't really know yet, but I will give you guys an update at the end of this podcast. But
rest assured, it's not the end of PopVultures.
Yes, it will not be the end.
It's just the end of this format.
Yes, it's the end of this format of PopVultures.
All right, now if you're enjoying this episode of your favorite pop culture podcast, don't forget to find us on our podcast channel. You can find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Some of our episodes are also on YouTube, so don't forget to check those out too. All you have to do is to search for #PopVultures. Tell all of your friends about us, like us, rate us, and subscribe. All right, now back to our show.
And so let's get into what we wanted to talk about today, which is we're going to do a little bit of navel-gazing, guys. Like, we're going to be a little bit self-indulgent because it is our last episode with Sam Jo.
Our last episode together.
Yes, our last episode together. So I was thinking maybe we can just talk about how it all started.
And it's also because it's the 50th episode. So we thought it would be a good time to kind of like look back on some of our favorite moments and maybe some of these episodes you missed out on. So you can go back and we can refer you to that episode and you can go back and listen.
A little bit of inside baseball, I think, on kind of what happens when we plan out these episodes and a little bit of our NG moments as well.
Yeah, some of the BTS goodness, the behind the scenes realness.
The juice.
Yeah.
So how it all began, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I don't think a lot of people know how this podcast came about.
Yeah, so I was the one who wanted to do a podcast.
Yeah.
So like I am a big lover of pop culture. If you follow me at all on any level in my work or like in my social media, I am a super big consumer of pop culture. I love listening to podcasts. So when ST started doing podcasts, right, I approached Olivia Ho, our assistant live editor,
right,
who has a podcast on books. She loves books.
It's called Bookmark This. Please go listen to it. Available on Spotify and all other platforms.
Yes, hosted by Olivia Ho, assistant live editor, and To Wen Lee, our live journalist.
Shout out to our dear friends there.
Yes. So I was very keen on doing a pop culture discussion podcast, the way like Bookmark This is for books.
Mm-hmm.
So I approached her to ask her like, what should I do? Like, how do I get started about it? And she was like, oh, you should approach Ernest, who is the head of podcast at ST, and a very, very nice boss. So I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. And then I was thinking, okay, but Olivia said you should find a co-host because Ernest thinks that two people tend to have better energy, they can bounce off one another. And I was like, okay, then who would be my co-host? Immediately, the first name I thought was like, oh, Sam Jo. No-brainer, right?
Aww.
Yeah, because like no one else I know, and like literally no one else I know is as interested in pop culture, as eloquent in speaking about it, and we have varied enough interest and similar enough interest to still connect and make a podcast that is interesting. Yeah, because I'm very into like Asian stuff, and Sam Jo is much more tuned into like Western music and Hollywood and like reality TV, that kind of thing. So like we don't super intersect, but we intersect enough.
Right, we're same but different, and I think we each have our blind spots. But and that's a great thing about this podcast because ever since starting this podcast with you, like I've learned so much also about K-pop, about J-pop, about Sholo and his ilk. Apparently, there are many of them in the Chinese entertainment world.
And his extracurricular activities. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. So, Sam Jo, what about you? What thoughts do you have? How do you remember this?
I remember it as Olivia telling me that you were starting a pop culture podcast.
Oh, and really?
And
Olivia is very vital to this story.
So I think Olivia really match made us, probably.
Yeah.
Because then I remember, and then maybe you texted me or I was having lunch with you and then it came up in conversation.
Yeah, and then we met up at Toastbox for real once.
Yes.
To talk about the podcast.
We did. We planned one of our first episodes and we were taking notes. We took it very seriously. We still do.
Yeah,
we still do. We've just, since transited to
Google Docs.
So we're a little bit more advanced now. But so Olivia really match-made the both of us. And I also thought, actually, this is going to be fun because when you and I have lunch, we already talk about these things.
Yes.
So it was almost like, it was just actually quite sayang that, those conversations were not recorded.
Yeah.
So, obviously it's a little bit more structured when we do these recordings, but these are stuff that we would talk about in our free time.
I remember having lunch at a fish soup place near ST.
The famous Toa Payoh fish soup.
The famous Toa Payoh fish soup. And we would have 45-minute conversations on old Channel 8 dramas.
Yeah.
And we would just keep going on and on.
And we got carried away until we get an email and okay, I need to rush back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who knew we were actually preparing for, a next phase in our careers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm so glad we did this.
So sometimes, really just talking over lunch can really help new products at work, so you should spend more time at lunch, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You never know. That's how we find stories also.
Yeah, that's how I find stories also. Sometimes you just talk with your friends. Yeah. Anyway, so what's your favorite episodes so far? Or your favorite moments? Because we dress up a lot of our episodes, especially at the beginning before COVID hit.
Yeah. I was going to say I think I genuinely enjoyed working on every single episode because like I said, I was learning a lot. Even for stuff that, I thought I was familiar with, Britney, I grew up listening to her, tracking her career really closely. But
when you delve into the research.
When you do the research, because, as journalists, we must make sure we're accurate in everything that we say, right? But I must say the memorable episodes are those where we dressed up, especially in the earlier days when, we had... when we did more videos and when we were in the studio a lot more. This was pre-COVID, so we had a lot of that freedom to... I feel like when we got into costume, we kind of got in the mood.
Yeah.
So it's we're talking about Channel 8 and Star Awards. You dressed up as Little Nonya.
Yeah.
And I dressed up as Zigong.
Zigong, yeah, which was a real actual costume that he rented from a costume place.
Zigong is the miracle monk, right?
Yeah.
This legendary character. And what else did we dress up as? Yanxi Palace was a fun one. We dressed up as a palace drama.
I was a palace maid. Then you dressed up as a Gao Gui Fei.
Yes, I dressed up as a noble consort.
Yeah, in Yanxi Palace. Yeah.
That was when Yanxi Palace had just come out, so we were very...
He was very excited. I have never actually watched Yanxi Palace.
I'm still quite obsessed. But so those were the fun ones. I remember dressing up also. What else did we...
You know what I really remember? What? The Oscar episode where you stripped down to your underwear and painted yourself gold.
So that I could resemble the Oscar.
Yeah, so that we could take photos. And I just remember thinking wow, this guy is insane.
Hey, go big or go home, right?
Yeah, but if you've ever seen Sam Jo at a Halloween party, he really is a go big or go home kind of guy. So he becomes an icon. People will take photos with him even though they don't know him. He's just walking on the road.
Yeah, well, I just feel like it's more fun that way. So those are memorable ones. What about you? What are some of your favorite episodes?
I mean, content-wise, right, I feel that, this is a bit more inside baseball stuff.
Sure.
But, when we look at the numbers, the cheating episodes tend to do very well.
Yeah.
We tend to get a lot of listeners on the more gossipy episodes, even though a lot of you are lurkers, because clearly nobody has ever sent us an email about the cheating app. Other than one time, there was a girl from America who sent us a note about the Sholo episode.
Right.
Yeah, they remember very fondly.
Yeah.
So our cheating apps tend to do very well. Then the very, very local apps, I feel, are very much our niche because no one else is really doing local entertainment-based content.
And in English.
Yeah, in
most
English.
of the time
and being
well.
analytical about it. So there was the Carrie Wong, Ian Fang one that everybody loved.
Oh, yes. They were planting strawberries on each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's all water under the bridge now, but
Right.
And there was the Alvin and Patrick Lee one from a while ago. The Star Wars one, of course, remember very fondly. And then personally, I really love the Arashi episode because I love Arashi. I love the
Right.
J-pop episode. And
Where we had Cheryl Tay on as our special guest.
yes, our journalist friend, Cheryl Tay, who has since also moved on to greener pastures. And
But hi, Cheryl, if you're listening.
yes, hi Cheryl, if you're listening. And Bennifer, a very recent episode is Bennifer, which I love because it's like very much my interest.
And speaking of Bennifer, another couple just got together again. Angelina Jolie went back to her ex, right?
Okay, Angelina Jolie was spotted going to Johnny Lee Miller's apartment. If you don't know who Johnny Lee Miller is, he's in Elementary as Sherlock. He and Angelina got together because they were in a seminal 90s movie called Hackers.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't watched that.
No, basically, like, it was before people really understood the internet. So, like, they were hackers at a hackathon or something.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they met and fell in love, I guess. And they also met and fell in love outside the movie lah.
Right.
But they very shortly afterwards divorced. And then every once in a while when they're both single, sometimes you will see them get back together for a little bit. So it feels like this is something that happens quite on a common occurrence for them.
Right, and this time she brought her son along, right?
Yeah,
she
he
brought
also
Pax.
he also has a son with his ex-wife. So Michelle Hicks, if I'm not wrong, the ex-wife.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe that's another PopVultures episode to look forward to.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't plagiarize me. I'm taking a hiatus.
I'm just giving you ideas, Jen.
Okay.
I'm not going to be around, but I'm definitely going to keep listening.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of costumes, right, I have to confess that I actually hate dressing up.
Really?
Like, I really hate dressing up.
No,
but-
actually, I know you complain all the time.
Yeah, I complain all the time about dressing up, but
The Britney episode, Jen was like, do we really need to do this? I'm like, yes, put the wig on now.
Yeah,
You are
the
going to be
wig-
blonde today.
the wig was very uncomfortable and it was very synthetic and gross.
It
but-
was a super thirsty wig.
Yeah. And then but I have to say, like, it really created some very amazing images for our podcast. So okay.
Yeah, it's
I
about the
appreciate
branding
it.
and the marketing,
Yeah,
right?
I appreciate it.
Yeah. One other thing which I noticed people really loved, based on our listenership, like every time there's the word sex, then people... Sex sells lah, basically.
sells, yeah.
Remember we did one episode called Bad Sex on screen?
Yeah, that one really did very well. And I have to say that it's actually one of my favorite episodes also.
It was fun to research.
Yeah. It was fun to research. It was also fun to look back at certain things that happened in our own adolescence growing up watching things on TV.
Yeah. By the way, get your mind out of the gutter. I didn't mean like researching bad sex in that way, like watching videos. It was more like looking at it from a more academic point of view, like, for example, interrogating the old, like, Channel 8 dramas that we watched as a kid.
Their tendency to use rape as a plot device all the time. Yeah,
Exactly.
it was bad.
Yeah, and to, score, like, best actress nods for the actresses. Like
in
that's,
the 90s, there was like all these actresses who had done rape scenes. It was insane.
yeah.
Like, it was used extremely liberally, is what we're saying.
Yeah. So I do think that even though some of our, episode titles and headlines were seemingly sensational, but I would like to think that we handled it maturely, and we thank you also, dear listener, for
Yes.
being on this journey with us and being so invested in like what we have to say.
Okay, admittedly, some of it is a bit gossipy lah.
No, for sure, because with pop culture and with like, showbiz,
There's
like,
always a little bit of gossipy elements.
there has to be gossip, right? Celebrities are celebrities for a reason. Like, we live vicariously through them for a lot of things. But I guess that's what we're trying to do on this podcast, also kind of like dismantle that from time to time. And I think we've said this very often also on the podcast, like, celebrities are human at the end of the day. And we always like put them on this pedestal. A lot of them are shrouded in like mystery and like fine looking clothes and like in luxury. But there's always a different side to the story. And I think that through this podcast also, I have grown in the sense that I become more, when I give certain, in the past you would just read like a tabloid news or maybe, God forbid, a Perez Hilton blog about something, back in the day when he did a blog, right? And you would just like, judge a celebrity, ayo, yeah, so fat, ayo, like, so cui, ayo, plastic surgery. But now I feel like because, we had to sit down and plan these episodes and really give every news point, some closer consideration, I feel like I've grown to become more empathetic also.
Yeah.
Especially towards like, people who, have the spotlight on them all the time,
Not just empathetic, I think we've also grown a bit more aware of how things can work in the celebrity world. In like, sometimes you see a story about, for example, say Angelina Jolie, and then you'll think like, okay, what was the PR angle of this?
Yes.
You're like, did somebody plan this story on purpose, and who did it for whose benefit? Because a lot of these stories, they leak out because the celebrities want them to leak out. Of course, not all of these stories happen this way. There are sometimes exposés and so on. But, you look at the way things flow, and you're a bit like, oh, okay. So this Angelina Jolie visiting Johnny Lee Miller thing came on the heels of the Bennifer romance. I wonder, if
the timing.
If like she saw that seemed to be getting a lot of traction, or but then you'll think back and be like, but Angelina Jolie is also someone that paparazzi follows around everywhere. So maybe it was really just a coincidence. So sometimes you're like, is it coincidence? Is it a little bit of a conspiracy there? You're a bit more like aware of the things that's going on. All these things are interesting, when you look at celebrity news with a fresh set of eyes, I think.
I agree. And more often than not, things are not really what they seem, beneath the surface. And so always like dig deeper and always like, I will also take this with me wherever I go now. Like think more critically about, even if it seems like it's a very shallow gossip piece, but there's always like,
there's work involved.
There's always work, and there's always what I'm trying to say is that, from the celebrity's point of view, you never know what they're going through mentally, in terms of mental health. Right? We did a recent episode on Naomi Osaka as well. I think that really, shone the spotlight on it, and rightfully so. And I think that these are things that we all ought to be talking about and thinking about more critically.
Gossip smart is what we're trying to say, I think. Yeah, you got to gossip well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, don't gossip blindly. You have to come with it with a critical eye. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And so I thank you for that. I thank you for giving me a different perspective, because very often I will also go into recordings with my mind more or less made up about a certain situation. But when Jen starts speaking, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think about it. I didn't think that, maybe the whole Bennifer thing was orchestrated. Probably still true love, but orchestrated, right?
Yeah. Or I mean, it can be true love, and you can also make some good PR out of it. Always works both ways.
And always look at the person's track record.
Yes.
I think and you've done really well with that, especially with all the Taiwanese celebrities. Like she dug out Shou Luo's sordid past. She dug out, who was the recent one? Patrick Lee's past.
Patrick Lee has a lot.
Never look at things in isolation, right?
Yeah.
It's not just Alvin Ng.
History.
It's like lots of things that happen. Yeah.
Okay, now we have some things I want to settle before you leave. Okay, we have been... So, like...
What? I returned the mic and headphones already. What more do you want?
Okay, so I have always said I wanted to do a J Cho episode. You know, so I've always said I wanted to dive into J Cho's history.
And we did it.
And we did it.
Yes.
But there's one thing that I feel like Sam Jo has not settled, and he keeps feeling like he's going to settle it, but has not ever settled it, which is...
What? Zoe Tay episode?
No, Zoe Tay, I know you love her. There is no need for an episode.
It's just going to be... It's
just going to be Sam Jo standing Zoe Tay the entire episode. But anyway, I want to know, Sam Jo, what is your deal with T Swift?
Who is T Swift? I don't know.
Oh my God! You Mariah carried her.
I did Mariah carry her. Look, it's just, I think when it comes to pop culture and all things celebrity and showbiz and entertainment, it's subjective.
Okay,
you know
what? Do you hate her or do you love her?
I don't hate her.
I
need to say I don't hate her. In fact,
but you don't love her.
Fun fact, do you know I've actually been to a concert before?
Wow.
And I even have a t-shirt with Taylor Swift's face on it. That was during her Red era.
Okay.
She actually came to my college to perform.
Okay.
And I balloted for tickets and I got it. So I really do like her songs. And I was actually there, like, even before she crossed over into pop, like I was listening to some of her more country music, like, you remember Teardrops on My Guitar and everything.
There's a reason for the teardrops on my guitar. Yeah.
And she had very curly, like, Maggie Mee hair also.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I really like her music. I think she's super talented. But there's something about...
There's a but.
There is a but, of course, because there's something about her image that is so, to me, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, overly curated and orchestrated. And there have been, like, obviously instances with, like,
the snake instance,
Kanye and Kim K and everything. and her just being like every time, like I think there've been some videos online also where, you know, she was doing charity, like, or I think she flew over to surprise someone at their wedding, or was it to sing for some sick kids or something, and somehow there was a camera following her. Beyonce wouldn't do that. Beyonce, people have to secretly film her singing to sick children, you know, in the hospital in Singapore when she came to visit. She didn't have like create press around that. She did it like, you know, to me out of the goodness of her own heart. But with some celebrities, I'm not going to name names, but with some celebrities, it seems very.
He's being very careful here.
It seems very contrived. And that is just my opinion. And all of you listening out there, you may be a Swiftie or you may not be. You're free to disagree with me.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I agree that I think her image is extremely crafted. And I think she's a master at crafting her own image, you know. So, you know, I mean, I don't blame her for that, I have to say. But I understand where you're coming from. I also do love her songs. I'm very basic that way.
Right. So I love her songs also, right? You know, I sing her songs at karaoke sometimes. I dance to them back when clubs were open.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, right? And Shake It Off is so fun to shake to. But yeah, just something about her just doesn't... Well, she's just not my cup of tea.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Do you have things you want to hash out with me?
Yeah, what is your problem with JJ Lin? Your turn.
No.
Yes.
Oh, man. I'm going to get so much hate.
No, we already know. Never mind. You already offended all the Leo DiCaprio fans. You already offended all the JT fans. Because she has slacked on them time and time again on this podcast. So, but JJ Lin, every time we mention him casually... y'all may not be able to see this because, you know, you can only hear us, but Jen does a little eye roll. I see you doing the fan bai yan. So tell me now, what is it about JJ that rubs you the wrong way?
I dare to slack like Leo, I dare to slack like JT, because they're not like... It's very hard as a Singaporean to have complicated feelings about JJ Lin because he's like, you know, 国宝. He's like some like...
He's national treasure.
Yeah, like, you know, people love him and like, wow, you know, it's like the pride of Singapore's son, you know, wow, do so well overseas. So it's very hard to, you know,
but you feel what you feel. So
I feel what I feel.
So please, hand to heart, just tell us. And it's fine. And like I said, pop culture is, you know, subjective to begin with.
Okay. It's a bit like you and Tiswi.
Okay.
So I think he is very, very talented. I think he's a very, very good singer.
Yes, he is.
You know, he is like there is no arguing about that. Like really, there's no arguing about that. He's really a wonderful singer.
他是歌手.
Yes, and very good at songwriting. You know, of course, his songwriting credits are all over, you know, Mendo Pop. I just think that when he performs...
Jen very scared she'll get cancelled.
Yeah. Okay, his performing style to me... Oh, this is my personal opinion, and I'm betting that JJ Lin will not listen to this because, like, you know,
Scully, one day you got to interview him.
Yeah, I know, right? I find him a bit show-offy in his performing style. Yes.
Right.
I find him a bit
like he's mugging to the camera a bit too much.
A bit much, and I'm just a bit uncomfortable with that. And also this, you know, there's more to it, lah. I mean, I think it has changed over the years, but I think earlier, I would say, you know, earlier part of his career when I was like more closely following Mendo Pop, he actually did an album for Eason Chan once that was very well received. And I was thinking like, that's odd because he did like such a great album for Eason Chan, but I always find like his songs to me, especially like in, I would say like a specific part of his career, I found it a bit bland. Like, I find it all to be like very bland love songs, which, hey, he has a lot more range now, I'm just saying. But there was a period of time where I was like not super into the songs. And I feel like, but he did such a, you know, wonderful album for Eason Chan, so clearly he has that talent. But I'm like, why does he use it to make like kind of generic love songs for himself? You know, so I there was a period of time where I really felt a bit like he could do more, and now he does more. So
but you still don't like him.
I feel weird. Then there was that Hebe incident that I feel weird about. Like Hebe, like he
what
like
about Hebe?
No, so like he keeps saying like he like Hebe a lot.
Oh,
and then like and I think he kind of sort of played it up a bit, and like there was this concert footage of him. His concert, and then Hebe was watching as in the audience. You know, like celebrities go and support other celebrities, that type. Then he like invited Hebe up on stage and I sat with her on a swing or something. I can't remember the exact image, but it was like Hebe was clearly looking very uncomfortable because the crowd was very high, right? Because they know JJ Lin likes Hebe. And then like Hebe was like a bit uncomfortable sitting beside him and just like And I just remember thinking like, that doesn't seem very nice. Like if I was in that position, I would feel very uncomfortable. But that's just me,
Right.
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
No hate, JJ. I think you're wonderful. I think
Yep.
you are very good at singing. Not my cup of tea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the tea.
Yeah. Yeah, I really need a drink.
That was very well put and very eloquent, I feel.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's about it. I think that's what we have to hash out, right?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so. So my challenge to you, Jen, going forward with PopVultures is to do a deep dive on JJ Lin someday. And I wish you all the strength and I'm giving you moral support from the bleachers.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm very proud of this project. I'm so glad. I'm very honored that you got me to do this with you, and it's been 50 episodes.
Yes.
I think it's
been 2 years.
yeah. Sometimes I listen to our old episodes. I mean, not to sound egotistical, but I do think
It holds up.
we've had good content. We really have had
Yeah.
good content, and you may be listening now, and I'm pretty sure you haven't heard all episodes, but if you need like a walk down memory lane, please do. And if you have any ideas of what PopVultures should talk about next, please always write to Jen.
Yes, please
right?
write to me. Yes. So final thoughts, I guess. Like you said, I'm very, very proud of this project. It's one of my favorite parts of my job. To just be able to sit and talk about like my pop culture obsessions is like such a dream come true. And I do think that it's quite a niche. Like we do feel a niche of people talking about Asian entertainment, especially like local and like Chinese language entertainment in English specifically. And I think there were times when things were not super smooth, where we've had disagreements, definitely, and like we've definitely had like growing pains. But I think you've been like a perfect, co-host for this because, like I said, we really do love pop culture and we intersect in such a great way. And I don't think this podcast is like, wow, important and a must listen and a groundbreaking. We don't talk about like current affairs. We don't talk about world issues. I wouldn't consider it like investigative journalism by any stretch of the imagination. But I think we've succeeded if even like listening to a minute of our podcast helps you to take your mind off, real world worries and just engage in something like a little bit fluffy, like celebrity gossip or something for a little bit. Then I think we've done our job.
I agree, Jen. I agree. Anyway, before we go, obviously I'm trying to milk this because it's my last episode. No, but jokes aside, I actually prepared a little surprise for you, Jen.
Okay.
And our friends here in the studio with us.
Shout out to Penelope, our podcast intern who has been here for over a year.
Yeah, she's no longer intern. She went from intern to assistant.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I prepared a little surprise for y'all. And I thought long and hard about this. I thought, maybe I should buy you a gift or whatever. But I feel like...
I wouldn't say no to a gift, man.
I know. But I decided that, our time on this podcast and the memories that, we've forged...
So you're saying I'm not getting a gift?
I'm saying you're going to be getting a gift that cannot be bought that's priceless, okay? That money cannot buy.
Okay.
And I figured since this is an audio medium, it's a podcast.
Oh my God, are you going to sing?
And how I like to sing on this podcast a lot, and I haven't sung on this episode yet, I have actually prepared a little song.
Oh my God.
As a tribute to you and to PopVultures. So if you would allow me, I will clear my throat now and
Oh my God.
and perform for you.
I'm sorry, guys.
I promise this will be better than all the other songs that I have attempted in the past because this is actually a Beyonce song, but I've changed the lyrics.
I knew it.
How do you know?
I knew you would change the lyrics.
Of course,
I
I
knew you
cannot-
would pen your own lyrics.
Yeah, I stayed up till 8 a.m. this morning doing it.
How are you still awake?
I'm going on, that's why I'm drinking tea.
Okay.
That's why I'm drinking tea, Jen. But, just for you and just for all our PopVultures listeners who have been with us for this entire journey, I wanted to thank you. So this is a song called Listen.
Listen to the song here from my heart. A podcast we started, but I can't complete. Listen to Jen Lee from deep within. She's only beginning to say her piece. Oh, this pop vulture is more than just a bird. She will entertain and be heard. Lifestyle and goss, tea with the sauce. Listen. Ooh. I need to change key. Listen. Listen. Britney's alone at the crossroads. Meghan and Harry have left home. Scandals and suicide, that's K-pop's dark side. Song we should have known. Oh, is Sholuo cheating on you? Shane Powell got caught driving. Goodbye, Piers Morgan. Hello, Kitty. We followed the voice of Stephanie. But now Jen's gotta find her own. So you must listen to your dose of pop culture. It's not over yet. From showbiz. From showbiz in Asia to Hollywood. Oh, there's so many who are also BTS. It's not just Jungkook and the rest. Adam Faiza, Firman Alima, Ernest, and Penelope Hannah Lee. Listen, TV is getting more atas. Suki Singapura spoke to us. Star Wars took flight. Mulan wasn't right. How Blue Ivy has grown. Oh, Benny Furshow's love is true. Emily's back in Paris. Nicholas and Faye, Jolene and Jay, Harry Styles, Shantae, you stay. Strawberry sexing on the phone. It's not over yet. Still got a bridge.
How is it not over?
Because we got 50 episodes.
Why do we have to put all 50?
Almost done. Please don't get me wrong. I may be moving on, but I won't ever stop listening to this show here in my heart. A melody that makes me feel complete. Oh, Zoe Tay, Cardi B. Wait, can I
just stop?
Can I change the key? Oh, Zoe Tay, Cardi B, the crown to Yancy. I'll miss you truly, madly, deeply. I'll follow your voice endlessly. Long live PopVultures and Arashi.
Yay!
Arashi. Arashi. Jelly. You should. Kidding, I'm done. I'm done. That's it. That's all. Sorry, I was a bit. My voice is not warmed up and the key was all over the place. But yeah, I hope you like that, Jen.
It was a lot.
I was saying the lyrics. Okay, that's all you can say?
I mean,
Anyway, I'll send you the lyrics, Jen, so you can ruminate on it.
also, Sholo is definitely cheating on you, whoever is listening.
Oh well, anyway, thank you all. That song was also for all of you listeners. Thanks for, supporting us all this time. Please keep supporting PopVultures. Don't stop listening. I'm sure Jen will be back stronger than ever, maybe with a new co-host. Who knows?
Don't know yet. I'm taking a hiatus, so that's what's happening. I'm taking
Yes.
a hiatus for now.
But please come back soon because I'm sure people will miss you.
I will try.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a break.
And as for me, as Cher once sang, you haven't seen the last of me. So it's not goodbye, it's just till further down the road.
Okay. Wait, I had the book.
Okay, I thought you were gonna cry. I'm disappointed at this lack of show of emotion from Jen.
Okay, you know what? I would just like to say that I really appreciate this because Listen is a very hard song to sing, as you've demonstrated.
As I've demonstrated and failed.
As you've demonstrated, what we can say is, Queen Bee, you rule.
Yeah, what can I say? The struggle is real.
Yeah. And yes, again, to anyone who's listening, Sholo is definitely cheating on you. Yep. Okay.
Woo!
So that's your dose of pop culture and a little bit of a farewell to PopVultures for a little bit for this week.
Yeah.
And again, if you have any ideas or thoughts on what you want me and whatever further iteration of PopVultures might be to talk about, you can always write into me at janlee@sph.com.sg. You can also write into podcast@sph.com.sg, or you can slide into my DMs at Janlee Rides. And Sam Jo, if people want to find you, is there a place they can find you after you leave ST?
Yes, you can always write to me at yeosamjo@gmail.com.
Yes.
Because I will be leaving SPH, but you'll see me around, like I said. I'm also on social media. I promise to be more active on it now that, I'm moving on to other things. But yeah, if you need to reach me, I will.
You'll be around.
I'll be around. I'll be around. You'll find me, I promise.
Yeah. If you really, really have to reach him and then you cannot find him, you can also come right to me.
Yeah. Just go through Jen Lee because
I'm just like his manager. You just come to me and then I'll just be like, nah, this person not important enough to be replied to.
Because chances are, Jen, we're going to go for lunch again many times and we're going to talk about the latest celebrity news.
Yep.
And it's going to be an all-new episode of PopVultures.
Over the lunch table.
At lunch.
Yeah.
And it'll be one full circle.
Yep. All right, guys. So that's it. Thank you for listening. And
for the last time.
Yes.
She's Jen.
He's Sam Jo.
And we are PopVultures.
Thank you for listening.
That was an SPH podcast by the Straits Times. Find us on Spotify, Apple or Google Podcasts, or streaming on Google Home. Do feedback to us at podcast@sph.com.sg. You can also check out more podcasts on various topics at the Straits Times, the Business Times, and Money FM 89.3.